Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to Kendo Rant. Let's get started. Okay, so this is a follow-up question in regards to Zanshin. So we talked about Zanshin probably in the last video about sort of turning your back on your opponent, running off to the distance, that sort of thing. And it says all of your examples of men, Kote, and Hikido make perfect sense. So this is in relation to the Kendo show episode that I did about Zanshin. And how... but how is good Zanshin for Gyakudo? I've seen during the All Japan Championships, Police Championships, that most of them were running away from the opponent whilst turning their back at them, yet got the Ippon awarded. Sometimes, even though they have strong Kiai and Kime, the Zanshins keep running sideways with the right shoulder of the opponent and have no eye contact with each other. Sorry if you've covered this as well, but someone kindly redirect me. And I actually followed this up with a comment asking to show me some examples of exactly what you were talking about so that I could obviously look at them and see them. Okay, so, right. It's quite difficult to answer in this way, but, okay, you posted, I think, 5 videos, and of those videos, there was only one that was like a really extended example of somebody hitting Gyakudo and running off to their left, and almost showing their back to the opponent, but really breaking eye contact and not having an extended break of eye contact. And that was probably the worst one of those, the most sort of egregious examples. The other ones, people were doing Gyakudo. Some of them were men Kaishi Gyakudo, men Nuki Gyakudo. It's extremely hard waza, by the way. And then the opponent is actually bumping into them, which kind of moves them a little bit. So there's a bit of an external factor there as well to take into consideration. Yes, there's moments where they're losing eye contact, and I do say in the Zanshin video that sometimes there's moments where you lose it, but most of those examples you gave, they regain the eye contact again quite quickly afterwards. Secondly, right, none of those are, let's say, perfect Ippon, right? I'm sure even the people doing the waza would admit that it could have been improved in some way. One of those potentially being sort of not displaying sort of an extended lack of eye contact and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be awarded points in that specific situation, in that specific shiai. It's not as sort of black and white as that. It's just like if you hit an amazing men, like a perfect, brilliant men, and you passed your opponent and you showed them your back, sort of for a couple of seconds and then turned around, you're still likely to be awarded the men, even if it didn't have perfect Zanshin. It just means that it would have been even better if you did have better Zanshin, if that makes sense, right? So, yeah. Okay, next one. In your Kendo show episode on men strikes, you discussed the mechanics of doing small men strikes. Can you give a few tips on the important details we need to keep in mind when doing small Kote strikes? Also, is there such a thing as small do and small tsuki? My impression is no, but I don't know for sure. So, okay, I'm going to just pop that down. I brought a little shinai. Okay, so about small Kote first off. So I talked in the other video about small men, about not, I don't know if we can see this. Let me see if I can move my chair up a bit. Right. So about not bringing the kensen back like this when you hit small men. Okay, trying to keep it forward. Okay, but the important thing, of course, is hitting and stamping at the same time. Now, the key with hitting small Kote is Kote waza is really about making them feel like you're going to hit men so that they kind of react and open the Kote. So the beginning of the waza has to look the same as men. So if I'm going to attack men this way, okay, it's a bit hard to see, I know, but if my hands are going to go this way for men, they're also going to start in the same way for Kote. Okay, the same way. And it's essentially the same movement. It's essentially the same thing. You're just attacking a target that's at a lower height. Okay. The important thing is that you swing with the left hand and not the right hand. I wanted to do a bit of a rant about right hand usage in Kendo. I might do it next week. And how it relates to breaking your shinai, because that's one thing I've seen a lot of is busted shinai, and it's largely from people using too much right hand. But we'll talk about that probably next week. I don't have time today. But yeah, in terms of small Kote, you've really got to push with that left hand. Try not to bring the kensen up too high, and you make the same initial movement as you do for a small men. Okay. In terms of your other question about is there such waza as small do and small tsuki, there's no small tsuki. Ski is ski. There's no big ski or small ski. As do, yes, there's a kind of small do, okay? And generally it's a more practical as in the big do. Many people practice do. They bring their hands right up over here like this, and they bring their arms all the way around like this. I'm going to hit my lights if I'm not careful. They bring their hands all the way around like this. Yeah, door like this. And it results actually in too much tension and stiffness in the shoulders and the arms, and not enough flexibility in the wrists. Usually too much tension in the right hand again. It's a massive problem for lots of things in Kendo. When you want to hit door, you want to be able to attack it quite compact, this sort of way. All right, I can't swing it through here because I'm going to knock my lights over. But if I move around this way, maybe you can see. Sort of like this sort of way. Yeah. So it's a bit hard to see, but you need to kind of move in this direction. You see how that's just a small movement like this, and it needs that sort of flexibility of the wrists to do that. And that is a kind of small door, if you want to call it that. I'd really call that normal door though. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. Next one, this is a funny question. That's why I've included it. You and now your wife have lived in 2 countries where curry is a national dish. However, both styles, British and Japanese, are radically different from each other. I hope I'm not stirring up a hornet's nest of controversy here, but do you prefer one style to the other? Did you have a curry culture shock in Japan? And did you have reverse curry culture shock when you returned to the UK? Do you prefer to make one style or the other at home? And how's your wife adjusted to the change in curry? Well, funnily enough, curry doesn't play a massive role in our life, but and something interesting is Japanese curry. This is kind of interesting. Japanese curry isn't very spicy, all right? It's not a very spicy curry. And Japanese curry was introduced to Japan by the British, right? So they didn't get it from India, they got it from the British. So that's why Japanese curry is actually like it is. It's not that spicy. It's similar to like British gravy actually, in lots of ways. So there's actually quite, that's why I think British people particularly actually do enjoy Japanese curry. I don't really know what I think of like British curry, because my imagination of what a British curry, I don't even know if that even is a thing. It's Indian curry, right? And in Japan as well, you've got Japanese curry, and there's plenty of Indian curry restaurants, right? There's plenty of Indian people and stuff in Japan, so there's lots of them have the kind of curry restaurants and stuff, so you can actually have you can have lots of different types of curry in Japan too. So it hasn't been a culture shock for me at all, because generally I've been able to eat both in both countries. So yeah. But good question. Right, Andy, thank you for being Shimpa. Okay, so this question is from the Kendo Show Early Access group. Say this in every video. I don't know if I have to say it again or not, but I'm going to. There's a link in the description. Get in the group. It's free to join, of course. It's a great place to post your post your questions so that I can answer them in the videos, because there's loads of other Kendoka in the group as well. So you'll get loads of opinions as well. So yeah, get in the group. It's free, and it's links in the description. Right. Thank you for being Shimpan and doing Jigeko over at the Uni Taikai in Lancaster. I was wondering about this for a while. Are the standards for awarding Ippon modified according to the level of Kendokai in a competition? If so, how is it done? There have definitely been many strikes that I was surprised to have not been awarded, and vice versa. And I'd like to know your thoughts about this sort of thing, especially with the Taikai still fresh in my mind. I'm by no means an expert in Yuko Dahotu, and fully admit possibly not seeing what the Shimpan saw. Also, random technical questions. If a point was cancelled by Torikeshi for celebration, for example, is Gogi necessary? Is the next command from the head Shimpan based on which point, i.e. Hajime, Nihonme, Shobu, or just Hajime? Okay, so the first part of the question is whether the standards for Ippon are modified according to the level of Kendoka. I actually commented on this already, but yes it is. It's not so much done per Kendoka, alright? So when you watch a Shiai, oh, well, this guy's not as good as this guy, so we'll lower the criteria for him. You don't do it that way. But at the University Taikai that you're talking about, there was a Q grades division and there was a Dan grades division. Okay, and in the morning when the referees had a meeting, we were instructed by the Shimpancho to consider the level of the Q grade tournament and the Dan grade tournament separately, and to have a lower standard of awarding Ippon for the Q grades than we would for the Dan grades. That's totally normal. Happens all the time in Japan as well. Actually, I've had several times. I have a lot of experience actually of doing Shimpan in Japan, especially of children's tournaments, and of course children, of course Q grades, but like they have a lower standard, a lower expectation of the level of Yuko Datotsu that's required for them to be given a point than an adult, for example. So yes, definitely, it is modified based on the level of the tournament rather than the level of the players, we should say. Okay. Secondly, about your technical question about, okay, in Torikeshi for celebration. Actually, funnily enough, the rules don't say for celebration, all right? So it's not actually written specifically that at least to my knowledge, right, some sort of people that memorize the rule book out there might attack me in the comments there. But if I remember rightly, the rules say that you can award Torikeshi if there's no Zanshin, or if essentially the competitor shows an over the top kind of what's the word? Not even power, but kind of overly, I guess you could say celebration, really, but it doesn't use the word celebration though. Of Yuko Datotsu, so they meet the criteria of the Yuko Datotsu, and then they go further than that by kind of showboating it, really. And your kind of celebrations also kind of tie into that, really. Your stuff like your fist pumps and stuff like that, all right? But that also includes a slightly different rule as well. But anyway. So if a competitor commits an act after striking that should result in the Torikeshi is the cancellation of the point. So they make a perfect point or a brilliant point, the referees award it, and then let's say the competitor turns to his team and goes, yes, like this, then that's call for Torikeshi. They will cancel a point for that, all right? Is Gogi necessary? Yes, Gogi is necessary. Okay, it's always necessary because in that case it requires all three Shimpan to agree that the Torikeshi is justified. And I'm sure most of them would do in most cases, but yes, it does. Even if it's obvious, you would Gogi. Just to check with you guys, are we going to give Torikeshi for this? Yes, we are. Okay, fine. Right, and then the next thing they would do, the head Shimpan, the Shushin, would go back to the position. Well, all Shimpan would go back to their position, and the Shushin would signal the point that they had awarded. They would put it down, and they would announce Torikeshi by crossing the flags over, like they would if they hadn't agreed with one of the other Shimpan's, signals. Cross it and say Torikeshi, and then the next command there, regardless of what stage of the match it is. Okay, so say. I understand your question is like, say that was the second point of the match, so that was Nihon me, is then finished. It's not then Sanbon me. They just say Hajime. No matter, despite the point of the match, it's Torikeshi Hajime, and then it just starts again. Okay, so that's how that works, basically. Okay, right. What are the benefits and drawbacks of the various styles of stitching on the mendare? Gunome, bozashi, and nanamezashi. Thanks. Okay, so the different styles of stitching on the mendare. Okay, so the mendare is the actual part that sits over your shoulders. Gunomezashi is like it's when they put a row of stitching between the existing rows of stitching. So, for example, the Vanguard men, all right, the Vanguard men, our most popular one, it's 10mm stitching, but on the mendare, it's actually a combination of gunome and nanamezashi. So it's not a great example to come up with, to be fair, because with machine stitching, they can combine these, but let's just, all right, What's the best way to describe this then? All right, well, anyway, it's where, say it was 10 millimeters and then they do 5 millimeters on the mendare. That would be gunomizashi because they're putting an extra row in between. All right, so right in the middle, we'll put it at literally. Now, if it's tezashi, if it's hand stitched, then it's a little bit different because it's always done in a straight line. The gunomizashi is generally anyway. And it's actually stitched at a slightly different interval as well. So the points at which the needle actually pierces the futon is also done at a halfway point. So if you've got the sort of, if you imagine dots going down the futon where the stitches have pierced the futon, dot, 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 like that, then the middle row, the gunomizashi will go in between and it would go right in the middle. All right, so if you've got 4 dots like that of the regular stitching, the gunomizashi will go right in the middle, so it'd be look like a number 5 on a die, yeah? You know, like dice that you throw? Yeah, it'd look like a number 5 going all the way down, like that, okay? Gunomizashi, the point of doing that is that it adds a bit of durability, especially on the mendare where it rubs against your shoulders, and it adds stiffness so you can actually shape it a little bit better. All right, so that's that, but it does make the futon a bit thinner, so it's not as protective as something like bozashi or nanamizashi where they don't have the tighter stitching, but it is used on places like the mendare because that's where you don't need the thick cushioning as you do on the datotsuburi. Okay, you know, it's fine to have it here a little bit thinner. Bozashi is where it's just straight stitching. I've got an example here. This happens to be at hand. Okay, so this is I don't know if you can see this in the video, but you probably can. But the 10 millimeter stitching here just goes straight down to the end of the futon. Okay, so it doesn't change. Okay, it's just straight. Okay, just straight like that. Okay, and the advantage of this is it's cheap. All right, this is the cheapest way to stitch a men. Okay, so it's a good way of you know, this is a kids men that we've made. It's actually a secret preview of a new product coming soon. We've got some cheaper kids armor coming out soon. But it's a great way to kind of limit the costs. All right, because it's just straight stitching. Okay, and lastly, nanamizashi is where instead of it just being straight like this, let's see, I've got another one just here. Here we've got a shinobu men just here. So here the stitching goes straight here, and then when it gets to the mendare, it's diagonal. Okay, that's what naname means. Naname means diagonal. Okay, so suddenly the stitches run diagonally. Okay, and this basically allows for this kind of movement here, so it's a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so it just adds that little bit of extra comfort. If it was straight, it would be more inclined to go this way naturally, but with the nanamizashi diagonal stitching, it's more inclined to go this way and sit nicely on your shoulders. Okay, so as I said, with machine stitching, you can actually combine these things. So if you look at something like the Vanguard, it actually is a combination of the gunomizashi and the nanamizashi. So we've actually put 10 millimeter stitching across where you actually get hit, and it's 5 millimeter nanamizashi on the mendare. So you get the durability and you get the comfort. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay. Right. Hey guys, I started Kendo a few months ago, and I was wondering if any of you do have a specific workout routine to aid in body conditioning and cardio. I find one of my biggest issues during footwork practicing suburi, I tend to get winded easily, and was looking for help to strengthen my body, build muscle, and improve my cardio for suburi and footwork. Okay, so I've seen on this post already, loads of people have given you some awesome advice about kind of improving your fitness and stuff like that. What I would say though is, to be honest, what you're experiencing is totally normal. Almost everybody experiences this when they first started Kendo, because you're starting to do an activity that your body's just not used to. And we even get people in that are like athletes, people that are super fit already, and they're still tired, totally tired out by the end of suburi, because it's just something that's so new to them and they're using the body in a different way. It's totally normal. It will get better. It will get harder, but it will also, your fitness and stuff like that for Kendo will get better. So just persevere. Don't worry too much. It's okay. You will start to build up a sort of resistance to that as you go along. All right, that's what I'd say on that. A while back, I posted about my teacher telling me to push forward more. I've tried and tried for many years and nothing has changed. I recently saw a video about different stretches. I did some tests and my lower body is crazy tight. If I try and bend over and touch my toes, I get about mid-shin. I am quite fit, but it's just a flexibility issue. Do you think something like super tight hamstrings and calves could be stopping me from pushing more? And if so, do you have any exercise or stretches to recommend? Okay, so I posted on this myself as well. I commented on your video about not your video, sorry, on your comment about it. And I said that, yeah, very much like you, I am very stiff and I'm not very flexible. All right, it's probably a better way to phrase that. I'm not very flexible. I can't just bend over and touch my toes and stuff like that. I'm not a flexible person. So I don't think it's that, actually. I think what the issue is that your sensei is getting at is an issue with tame, which is the correct use and placement of the left leg and the correct usage of your left calf muscle, as well as fumikiri, which again relates to that. It's the way you push off and you launch yourself forward and not upwards, and also that's also connected to your fumikomi, your actual stamping, and also hikitsuke, which is the way you pull up your left leg. Now, it's very hard for me to say this for definite without seeing your kendo in myself. But yeah, I really think that that's more to do with the issue than to do with your actual flexibility, to be honest. Okay, last one. Any chance of doing a video on how to measure yourself properly for a men? I've inherited an old set of Borger and the men is pretty poor fit for me. I'll soon need another, but I really want to get the sizing right. Perhaps addressing what is the most important aspect to get it right. What could be a little bigger, what could be a little smaller, etc. In short, I know nothing about measuring up for men. Okay, so I did post on there the link to the KendoStar page that shows you how to do that. There's a really detailed diagram of how to do it. I have done a video, I have talked about this in a Kendo rant before, but I can't seem to find it. So let's have a look at it now. I've got a tape measure. See, that was good, wasn't it? Right, so what you need to do, okay, you need a soft tape measure like this, not a hard one, all right, not one of those metal ones, yeah, that's in centimeters. First of all, what you need to do is you need to pop it on your chin. Now, first of all, actually, before I get started, the best way to do this, and really, if you're going to do this, get someone to help you, all right? You really need someone to help you, okay? But if you must do it on your own, this is how you're going to do it. But it's best to get someone to help you do this, all right? Because you want to put your tape on your chin here, right? And the best thing is to use your finger to hold it there so it doesn't slip, okay? And what I'm doing with the tape is I'm going to make sure I don't make it too far away. Okay, that's it, right, like that. That's it, on my chin there. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it around to the furthest point on my head, but I'm going to keep it in front of my ears. With my mouth shut, okay? I'm not going to open my mouth. Okay? So I'm keeping it in front of my ears like this. And then I'm taking it around. I'm not sure if you can see, alright? Okay, so I'm measuring like this. I'm a little bit far away there, actually. Wants to be kind of this sort of angle. Okay? In front of the ears, not over the ears. Like this, okay? And it wants to be taut, all right? Now, it's slackening off now because I'm talking, right? Don't talk while you're doing it. It wants to be taut, not super tight so it's cutting off the blood, but it does want to be quite taut, all right? And then you want to get it and make sure you've got both ends like that. And I can see what I've measured, 66 centimeters, which is exactly what size I am, all right? So I know I've done it right, okay? So I know what my size is, but yeah. That's the first thing you need to do. And that is the most crucial measurement. That is the most crucial measurement when you're doing this, all right? The other ones you want to measure around your head, where about the sort of place where you would wear a hat if you were to put a hat on. You want to measure around there, get that measurement. It should be sort of 50 something for most of us. Yeah, 57, that's me, yeah, okay. And then you want to measure the height of your eyes, okay? And you need a mirror to do this if you haven't got someone to help you. This one you can use a harder tape for. And what you can even do is you could get a couple of rulers and use one to put against the bottom of your chin. And you want to measure to the middle of your eye, all right? Okay, it should come out at something like 11 or 12 for most of us, all right? Could be 10, could be 13, depends. Everyone's different, okay? Those ones, this one, right? It depends on what Borg you're ordering. If you're ordering a custom-made Borger, then you want to get this one spot on as well. And yeah, I mean, this one is, if you're talking like a variance of 5 millimeters, half a centimeter, especially for this one around the top of the head here, and even this one, it's not going to make a huge difference, right? Because believe me, if this is right, the way that they design the mengane, the cage, if this is right, then actually this will sit in about the right place for the majority of people out there. So yeah, it's not as super difficult as it feels or seems. It is important, but the most thing, like I say, the best thing you want to do is get around here, and if you're kind of between measurements, go for the smaller one. Don't go for the bigger one, because it will stretch as you wear it. Okay, so if it's a bit tight at first, it will definitely stretch. In fact, I do it on purpose. I just measure myself at 66, and I always wear one that actually is designed for someone that's 65 around this measurement. It's tight, it's a little bit uncomfortable for the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks as I wear it, but I always get the best possible fit then, because I get through it and it stretches to fit my face perfectly. Okay, that's what I personally like to do. Okay, so that's how you measure yourself for the men. That's it for today. I'm going home now because it's Friday, and I've had a really busy week. I hope you've enjoyed. This episode of Kendo Rant. Don't forget to do all the like, share, and subscribe, and all that. Most importantly, don't forget to do your shopping at KendoStar. All the brilliant gear that I've talked about, all your nanamis, your gunomi's, your boga sets, how to measure for the wonderful men. Of course, that's all available at KendoStar.com. That's the website that I run, of course. Which is specifically designed for kendoka around the world. It's brilliant. So go and shop there. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.